Very good morning. Hope everybody's doing okay. Here we are for another day and an interesting one after the Fed last night. So the fundamental bias is positive this morning. Markets are optimistic about a potential US-UK trade deal. That's lifting equity markets around the world. See volatility lower, equity markets higher, FTSE 100 down on that sort of hawkish Bank of England interest rate cut. But broadly speaking, markets are in an optimistic frame of mind. Latest jobs data, that's good. There's no major alarm bells in US jobs. There's an absence of strong data, apart from a 30-year bond auction coming up later, which could move markets. And we have the potential announcement of a UK-US trade deal. Trump is expected to announce that deal today. And on my calendar here, I can see that there is a 3 o'clock scheduled announcement from the US administration. And that is at 3 o'clock UK. So in 1 hour's time, we're expecting a trade announcement. So you could see markets sort of waiting to see what the details are of that trade announcement, and then another shift in sentiment. If you look at the broad outlook, earnings, there's not much on the calendar for today. Looking at the TPO, you can see that there's a very clear sort of P-shaped TPO. That's strong support around this point of control, the area we've just sort of moved down into since starting this analysis. So we're looking for buying dips into this area, that 5680, 5670, that's strong support. So looking for opportunities for potential upside. And then if price goes, underneath this 5620 region, then looking for potential shorts. If this five's underneath this pivot point, underneath the daily lows of the day, then we can start looking at shorts again. As it stands, there's a clear up bias. You can see since the Globex open, price has moved higher. We've opened above yesterday's value area and we're pushing sharply higher. We've got a developing value area here that price has just sort of sat in. But we've got that daily VWAP here. So this is an obvious support area. And although Delta is pointing lower, it is still positive on the day. So keeping that in mind, still looking for that buy bias. And if you look on the hourly chart, you can see this tailing price action where these trap sellers were there, buyers have moved down. Those trap sellers, they are still okay. So those trap sellers weren't able to add extra shorts. They sort of been tested, but these buyers are okay. These buyers are okay. So the majority of buyers are still fine. So dip buying does make sense, and looking for that based on if we see a sort of sharp increase in the angle of the cumulative delta. That's what I want to see. Yesterday was a tricky day, got caught around with the delta just being flat and getting in and out of unnecessary trades. What we're looking for today is just some clear upward momentum. Just something that's very clear, very obvious. You can see on the 15-minute chart, we are in this value area, which is this sort of mix. So holding above that area here, right, is important for buyers. But what we want to see is this holding, and we want to see the delta sort of pointing up. You can see in the very short term, you have got some sellers who are dominating the market. If you look on the 1-minute chart, you can see that buyers have been able to come in and passively buy up, even though the delta has been negative. So sellers have been stepping in, but these passive buyers have been able to push the price up. So there's a bit of absorption going on by those passive buyers who are just buying on limit. So if we start to see here, for instance, at the open, we see these sellers getting trapped and price, the cumulative delta starting to tick up, that wouldn't be unreasonable to go for a long. So I'm looking at these couple of areas here just to see if we can push above these areas. That would be suitable, particularly if we start to see the delta sort of tick up as well, in line with the Globex open. So that's what I'm looking at. This is a decent area if you just look at the big picture and the TPO. You can just see, look, we're moving into that point of control. from the Globex Open, pulled down and found a rejection. So clearly a rejection of those lows. This is clearly a potential support area. So that's the first thing that we're looking for. So that's the outlook. Nothing to do here, folks, just waiting. We're just stuck on this sort of very strong support level here. Tailing action on the 1 hour. If you look at that here, you can see that these sellers that got trapped have provided support. Daily VWAP providing support for now, but we have got this weekly value area that's just capping prices for now. On the 15-minute chart, you can see we've got this decent value area, but price trying to push through it, and delta positive, but tilting lower, and on particular tilting lower on that negative news that the US UK trade announcement will be limited in scope, heavy on future commitments, and leaves the 10% universal tariff in place. So, you know, that means tariffs are going to be part of the new landscape, and that's the way it is. And that's probably the market reacting to that a little bit negatively. Any hopes of no tariffs or zero tariffs just temporarily out the window. You got all these buyers from here trapped. So all those buyers trapped. Buyers trying to trap some of these sellers here. Got those buyers trapping those sellers, but only up to the standard deviation, staying under that value area. So, and the delta's flat, so nothing to do, it's just flat delta.
Just seeing remarks from CNBC's Jabez. It says, I am told that UK PM Starmer will be participating in the Oval Office announcement remotely today, made by video or speakerphone, but he is not in Washington today. So just a bit of colour there on the upcoming announcement.
Okay, some of those sellers getting trapped down there, which is what we were sort of expecting to happen. Buyers coming in. Let's see. All right. So they're coming in, trapping these sellers here. So if I get those sellers trapped here, I'll take that as a long with the delta picking up if I get them trapped here. So if I get it above the 5693. Right, let's just take a quick long there with those sellers getting trapped and buyers coming in, they're sort of building up. I just want to see if I can get a little bit of upside here. I'm going to bring it to break even fairly quickly. Let's see if I can get something off. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I wanted to see follow through. I only wanted quick follow through and just haven't got it. So just go back to waiting.